Hey, Derby fans, we are just about ready to go. Who's ready for more
roller
Derby action? Yeah?
Yeah, we have a little. We got
a few people.
little
Let's try
bit
that
of
one more
life
time.
right
Yeah,
here in this
all right.
first bleacher.
Who's ready for more roller derby
First bleacher was
action? All
I got
right.
some fans. We see you right there with the fan. See you.
We are 2 minutes away from introducing you to your competitors for this next bout. Our teams are ready. The regulators have gotten all set. So your same regulator lineup as we introduced at the top of the evening. As you know, your same medics are out there. We wanted to mention while we got a moment here about volunteer medics. By the way, we always need more volunteer medics. We always love to say that we hope that our medics get to sit and get a front row seat to fantastic derby action for 4 to 4.5 hours, but when called into service, we are certainly thankful that they are there. We need more bodies out there. We have had a couple of nights where we've really had to scrabble to get some people, so we've said all year long, if you know anybody that you think would dig this, if you know anybody that would be cool with coming out and medicing for even half a bout, we would take it heartily. So let us know. You can check with Morning Madness, who's wearing that wearing the shirt down there, the turquoise shirt on the infield. Anybody, you can ask me. I'll point you to the right people. Seriously, anybody wearing skate gear. If you are a medic, first responder type, medic certified, anybody, we would happily take assistance.
We are going to get ready for our skate out, so intros are coming up very, very shortly for the two teams skating in our second half bout of the evening.
All right. Derby fans, we are ready to get underway. Your second playoff bout of the evening is the Brutal Beauties versus the Coffin Draggers. And we are ready to introduce you to the teams. From the far bench, taking the track this evening, wearing all pink, it's the Brutal Beauties.
Getting ready for our customary show of sportsmanship. Little hand clap, little good luck right here happening in the second straightaway. We'll wait for them to pack up here and then we will get started. Skating for the Beauties tonight, 00 Novocaine. Number 12, Maximum Overdrive. Number 16, that's Black Mamba. Number 17, Bitch Please. Number 19, and your co-captain, Skeletori. Number 27, Slamnesia. Okay, cheering section, we see you. Number 52, Gnarly Quinn. 151, Ash Smash'em. 187, that's Sour Appletini. 304, it's Critter. 925, skating for her actual team, Evil Twin. Number 999, Sweet Baby Ray. 2011, call it Razor Cat. And your captain for the evening, the Brutal Beauties, 2187, Princess Leia.
Coaching the Beauties, Stinkenstein and Honey Trap. Now taking the track from the near bench, decked out as they always are in black and ooky green, it's the Coffin Draggers. Coffin Draggers, as we mentioned, entering the playoffs as the 3 seed. 500 regular season at 2-2. They met up with the Brutal Beauties earlier this year and came out victorious in their first meeting. Skating tonight for the Coffin Draggers. Clofton has to take his glasses off and always forgets. Number 10, Sasquatch. Number 13, Hugs and Stitches. Number 23, Murder Mittens. Number 30, Zora La Bruja. Rookie Premier, number 94, Angel of Beth. Number 96, All of You Die. Number 300, Dolly Spartan. Number 333, Bed Bugs Bunny. Number 414, Foxy Razordine. Number 666, Strange. Number 710, Mo Fasta. Number 1312, Ricky D. Bones. Number 7780, Pee Wee Vermin. We got another rookie premier, number Boss, Frankenherder. Your co-captain, number 18, Embezzlement. And your captain of the Coffin Draggers, number 616, Antifa. Coaching tonight for the Coffin Draggers, number 33, Gare Bear, and that's not Grantula, that's number 803, the Panda Face Killer. There you go. I love when the coach gets
Panda.
a cheer. Hello, Panda. Mama Panda's here too, of course.
Yes,
You know
I already got my
Panda's
Mama
here.
Panda hug in. Yes,
Mama
I
Panda's
did.
here, so the coaches are getting a cheer tonight. Let us.
I do just want to say, if you are here to support one of our brand new rookies, we appreciate you, and so do they.
That is right. I was going to say, obviously, Slamnesia, another rookie premier this evening. We've got lots of rookies that were recently drafted. We've got another rookie premier in Sweet Baby Ray, number 999s. Critter, another rookie premier this evening. We got 5 first-time rookies out there tonight. My goodness. So that's super exciting. We are going to announce a couple of things once this jam gets underway. Ash Smasham is wearing brown. That is going to do for pink. All right.
It's mauve.
Starting off as Princess Sleia for the Brutal Beauties.
Yep, and that's All of You Die out there for the Coffin Draggers, working against a recycling wall of Brutal Beauties there in the front. Olive still not out, able to work around Ash right there on the bottom, right there on the coping, coming around lead jam. Sleia with a nice little coping jump right here in turn 3, coming around not lead, but a fast jammer race. Olive looking to get some points right here at the back of the pack. Make sure Sleia gets 0, calls the jam.
So excellent effort there. Both teams got their jammer out on the first jam. So a couple things we need to announce. First thing, souvenir cups cannot be taken outside. There are signs on the outside doors that say, do not take your souvenir cup outside. Please heed that. Please heed that. We don't want to get fined or, things like that. Don't take the souvenir cups outside. The other thing is, we got to get you the REI winner again, but I talked too long. Here's your second jam. That's going to be Strange.
Strange coming around lead jam for the Coffin Draggers. That's Tori working around Novocaine. Try to get a little bit of a Jersey whip there. Still working that coping in turn 2. And works her up to the rail there. A nice little juke move, but it's still in the pack. Strange comes around untouched on the low in the second straightaway, coming around on their second scoring pass. Tori finally out and actively scoring. See if she can get around before Strange calls the jam.
So here comes Strange, full head of steam, is going to get in behind Angel of Beth with a good block. And Strange weaves around the outside, dodging Black Mamba, and Strange calls it off. Hey!
2 pretty fast jams so far.
That REI winner, by the way, get your white raffle tickets out. If you gambled on the REI bag, we're going to give this one last read, and then after a couple more jams, we're going to pull another REI winner. 586766. 586766. That is the REI winner. Let us know if that's you.
Dolly on the jammer line for the Coffin Draggers, and that's Evil Twin out there for the Beauties. Both still currently in the back of the pack. Dolly working against Power Couple, recycling 4 Wall of Beauties in the second straightaway. Dolly coming around lead. Twin still in the back there with Murder Mittens, Zora, and Rickety Bones in the back. Wall for the Coffin Draggers, keeping Twin in at least for now. Dolly coming around actively scoring, working against Sleia right there on the coping. successfully kept in for now, and Twin is coming around now, putting a little bit more pressure on Dolly to call the jam. Dolly working against those last two blockers and calls the jam.
We got a winner for the REI. He's making his way. I see him down there. He's just about to D&D's nuts. So, excellent. Good to see. Congratulations. We had a lot of people wanted the REI bag. So, that's or gift card, I should say, gift certificate, not nice swag bag.
If you're looking, if you're like me and you just go to REI waiting for that sale, $75 could get you a nice score.
A lot of stuff. All right, that's Black Mamba jamming for the Brutal Beauties this time, and the Coffin Draggers jammer is as yet a mystery because they're not wearing a star. No, they're right on front.
Really close jammer race. Oh, Mamba does end up stealing
Mamba
lead jam.
Gets by. It's Bedbugs Bunny putting the star back on for the Draggers, and now Mamba's your lead jammer, taking over his lead jammer.
You saw a little bit of the dangers of the star pass right there in real time. It is very difficult to go around at about 20 miles an hour and bring your arms up over your head to put a stretch of panty over your helmet.
And as we said, it doesn't want to go on your helmet. It goes on a smooth helmet and actively wants to spring off. It is the worst design, right? You know what I mean? It's like it is the worst possible thing you could be trying to put on your head while roller skating at an angle.
Well, there's that, again, there's just science involved. Everything from the top of your helmet to your navel, it should be still, right? So when you're trying to move it around while your feet are moving that quickly, it can get a little tricky. Sleiya coming around, takes that coping, nice and smooth, was able to do a nice little pirouette around Tifa there in the front. Nope. Bones in the front.
Yeah, Bones was in the back there, and Draggers again had the star off, put it back on. That's all of you die. So now we've got Sleiya with a nice little coping jump, leaping over a sliding block there in the corner.
They definitely took some pages out of the first Bouts book. They understand that with only 30 minutes total to play, there is no time to waste getting an advantage on your opponent if at all possible. Remember, we want to score points, and we want our opponents to score 0 in Bank Track Roller Derby. Strange coming around lead jam for the Coffin Draggers. And that looks like Skeletori there in the front working against M on the low. Coming around on the high side, one last blocker to beat, and she's successful. Coming around as a challenge to Strange. Strange again looking to get their hips past as many pink skaters as possible to prevent scoring, and calls the jam. Turns around just in time to see Tori and call the jam so she does not score.
Yeah, you saw Strange basically knowing they weren't probably going to break the wall and just trying to ram those hips in front of as many defenders as possible. And they get 3 points out of it, so they did pick up at least one of those wall points. This is going to be Dolly Spartan for the Draggers and Evil Twin once again for the Brutal Beauties. We got 9.5 minutes until halftime. Skaters off the track, says Gigi.
Timeout's going to be called. So Gigi says skaters off the track, OTO.
All right, we got an official timeout. So the officials are going to talk over some of that action. We'll track down some penalties, perhaps. That's usually what it is during an official timeout. So stoppage in time, 9:24 until halftime. And we added another point. So another point came down from the infield. That was what the stoppage in play was about. So the officials had already discussed it and added a 4th point to the Coffin Draggers. And we're ready to get back to the action.
Team has taken the track. It does appear that the pack is full, so that means 4 blockers from each team, 1 jammer from each team. We're about to be underway. You're going to hear that one sharp whistle, and here we go. Jammer stayed the same, so it's still Twin and Dolly. Twin working against that 3 wall, and a nice open low on in turn 1 for Dolly to come around lead jam. Twin working against just Murder Mittens there in the front and coming around actively scoring as well. Dolly coming around looking for pink points available to her. Working on those last 2 wall in the front, calls the jam. A nice little hit it and quit it from Dolly Spartan.
Coming up to a cheer from some fans is Black Mamba, number 16 for the Brutal Beauties. And
another former minor assault, just saying.
Yeah, another former minor assault. And that's Bedbugs Bunny, former league rookie. It's always good when the jammers turn around yelling at the announcers when the whistle blows. Good to, jammer awareness. You teach them good, Al.
Hey,
you teach them real, facing the wrong
and
way
look
when
at
the
that.
whistle blows.
Another minor assault. Here we go. Hugs and Stitches coming around.
That's Hugs and
Actively
Stitches?
scoring
Oh.
super fast coming around. A little bit of hop, skip, and a jump coming around. Untouched there. Jumping the apex there.
I had said that was Bedbugs Bunny, but that's because I saw a 3. I apologize. That is Stitches.
It is Stitches coming around on her second scoring pass. Again, taking those friendly shoulders, making sure that if she is making any contact in the back, it is her own players coming around, still with plenty of time left for more scoring. 22 seconds left in this jam. But Mamba finally out. We want to see a wall from Pink to keep Stitches from getting out. Temporarily successful in the front against Gnarly. Calls the jam before Mamba is maybe able to score, but we'll see.
Mamba does not get any points on the pursuit. So, waiting for the Draggers to discuss. Well, maybe. Hang on a second. We're waiting. We're waiting. We're waiting. That is a 14-point jam for the Coffin Draggers.
It's a really successful
emphatic,
regular jam.
yes.
You should be clapping.
Yes, they did. All right, so now that is going to be All of You Die
versus Max Hoverdrive for the Beauties. Really working hard against that defensive structure of the Coffin Draggers there in the backs was Max. Olive coming around lead jam, but Max has also pierced the front of the pack and coming around at full speed. Pink has decided on the 2-wall in the back, trying to hang up Olive there. Are able to neutralize. A little bit of contact there at the end of the jam. Looked like friendly fire there. We'll see if they award any points.
Max tumbling in, again with the pursuit. Beauty's always on that hard pursuit coming in late. I have a penalty coming in on one Coffin Dragger, so one Dragger blocker down. That was a 2-point jam. It was an excellent block at the back of the pack by Princess Leia, directing Olive up into the rail.
100%. We want to make sure that if we aren't lead, we're at least neutralizing the points of the opponent. So Bitch Please working in the high there. At the highest angle of the track right there, coming around lead jam for the Brutal Beauties. Dragger Jammer still stuck in the pack. Actively working. Strange is able to squeak by Mamba right there in the second apex. Now coming around on their scoring pass as well. Bitch Please looking for active offense being played, trying to avoid and pass black at the same time. Calls the jam.
I've noticed that the Draggers seem to be employing it as a strategy, basically to take that star off the second it looks like they're not going to get lead jammed quickly.
Right, so I was just describing this at Minor Assaults practice the other day. What the Star Stash effectively does is create 2 jammers, right? So you are looking at the body, the shoulders, the face, the feet of your opponent, jammer, and then all of a sudden they move the panty into their hand, and they've doubled themselves.
Right. This is Mo Fasta jamming for the Draggers for the first time, number 710.
Just have to say that Mo Fasta, just a wonderful person, just so nice.
Yes.
If you haven't said hi to Mo Fasta, make sure you do.
Yes, definitely. Always smiling. That's Princess Leia for the Beauties. Beauties are now at the second straight lead jam, trying to build up some momentum here.
A little bit of a hang up there in turn 3. Sleia goes ahead and takes the jump, is unsuccessful. Kind of telegraphed it just a little bit. Murder Mittens was able to catch her there in turn 4.
Mo is smiling, as we mentioned. Yeah. Worth mentioning, Mo joins us. Mo skates with Phoenix RD. We love our flat track sister leagues here in town. The action's been so fast, but don't forget, we always love dap them out, Phoenix RD. AZRD with the Cactus Cup coming out. They're out in the East Valley. AZ Skate Club down in Casa Grande. We've got the game's starting again. Running, AZRG, the colleges. ASU has had several bouts this year. They're back on their feet. Check out Derby, man. It's all over. That is Skeletori for the Beauties, and Hugs and Stitches once again for the Draggers.
She was successful at calling the jam. She did have like a simultaneous contact with the back wall while trying to hit her hip, so I don't know if that was like occluded a little bit. We'll see if they award any points to Stitches on any kind of like last second passing there.
Yeah, I have them coming over and thinking about it. The 2 refs are talking about it, 2 regulators down there. That's the jam refs. That's Rosie the Ripper and Lolly Mom this time, Lollipop.
Yeah, they look like they're talking about exactly what I just said, so we'll see what they say.
Lollipop says none.
Yeah.
Rosie the Ripper says none. None for both sides after all that. So There goes Olive and Slaya, as we mentioned. Olive takes that star off right away again. Now going to put it back on.
And like we said, she does have to put it back on. So Slaya, a little bit of a speed wobble there coming out of the second apex, coming around at full speed. Pink really trying to work on that point. So right there at the end, if you're right there at the end of the second straightaway, you saw Sasquatch get away right there at the end. So the point that was locked down wasn't available anymore. So the lead jammer called the jam.
Yep, indeed. And it's interesting to see. I just saw that thing with the star coming off. Olive took the star off before she realized that she didn't have anybody in front of her. So the Coffin Draggers are absolutely, the second that pink jammer goes by, that star comes off, and then she just put it back on and went on by.
Yeah,
so
the stash can be a really effective distraction technique, 100%.
Yes.
Tori's star is off as well, and so is Strange's.
All
I would say
right.
that these are the most stashy of our teams now.
This is more than you usually see in bank track. It's at least here. I feel like there's teams that do it, but you don't often see this from our home teams, but they're both employing it regularly. Strange now on a scoring pass is going to try.
So we're looking for a pink wall to form. Mama's out there just heat seeking. Didn't make contact, but was out there just in case, last line of defense. But those really fast jams, they actually benefit the jammer. Jams without defensive structures actually together with points of contact, creating a structure that a jammer has to hit or go around is actually exactly what the jammer wants to see.
This is Evil Twin starting right on the line. Dolly Spartan for the Draggers a little behind it, and Twin gets through the pack. So Twin's out. Lead jammer for the Beauties. Dolly gets out as well. Exactly 2 minutes to go until halftime.
So many jammer races. Dolly really turns on the jets as she comes out of turn 4. Really puts the pressure on Twin, says no thank you, calls the jam.
Yeah, the Beauties have definitely picked up the pace getting the lead jams. I think the Draggers had a few in a row to start. I think that the Beauties may have had one in between, but now getting their jammer out more often. Just now the Draggers are still getting out with that very close pursuit and limiting the scoring that the Beauties can do. Yeah, right. Yeah. So, as with a half game, the half length bout, there's less time to build up a run from the end. However, the Draggers, I mean, it's still 41-16. So,
and Bitch's coming around, not lead. So again, looking to maybe get Nova's point. Nova says, "Girl, nope." So fantastic block to the rail by Nova Kane, and very, very aware that that's where the jammer had chosen to go. See if she was able to neutralize that 1 point. I heard a penalty be dropped on the dragger, so we have one of them sitting. So if you're new to roller derby, if you're not exactly sure how penalties are assessed, remember they're sitting in between jams. So the dragger currently in the penalty box was penalized in the previous jam and now is sitting that penalty. So her team is actually penalized her absence.
Also, these being half-length bouts, you foul out after 4 penalties.
Correct.
So, yes. So
we were just talking about that.
Usually 7.
And I meant to mention that, yes, you usually foul out at 7, but half the length means half of the penalties allowed. Slaya coming around, actively working against Tifa on the rail, successful at a full scoring pass. Still coming around with 34 seconds, plenty of time for more points for the pink team.
Yeah, that jammer for the Draggers, looks like Rickety Bones just got blocked off to the inside. And
yes, being successfully neutralized back there.
Yeah, the Beauties are going to turn this into basically a de facto power jam, trying to keep Bones goaded at the back of the pack. However, coming through the clock expired on that one. I believe.
A little bit of speed,
and that took us
right
to the
there
end
at the
of
end.
it took us to the end of the first half, I believe.
Clifton, these halves are ending so fast that I don't even realize the clock is running out.
Yeah, that was it. That was a very productive jam for the Beauties to take us into our 5-minute halftime break, though. The Beauties put 8 points on the board there, so your score going into halftime right now is 41-24.
All right, we're getting ready to return to the roller derby action for the second half of the second half game of this year's playoffs.
That is correct. We are right in the middle of the playoff tournament, and as it stands right now, the Doomsday Valkyries are waiting in the wings for the winner of this bout in 15 more minutes of game action.
Regulators are taking their places.
Yes, indeed. This is going to be, this is Bedbugs Bunny on the jammer line.
Yes,
There is
and
Bugs
Skeletori for the Brutal
333.
Beauties.
That's 333 with a colon in it, by the way. That's a time. Everybody's number, I love, trust me, I love numbers. I love sports, and I love number stuff. Meanwhile, Tori is going to bust right through the pack and get out. So the Beauties looking to close that gap a little bit. They're down by...
A really nice initial block from Bitch Please and Nova Kane on Bedbugs Bunny right here in the back on the back blocker box line. Tori comes around, neutralized to the infield, needs to hurry. Jammer is coming up. Oh, calls it just in the nick of time before
had
Bugs
to run up and call
gets
it. Yeah,
back.
you've got to be fully reestablished on the track and both feet down to call it off once you've been on the infield. So, excellent timing, able to get back up in the pack. Tori gets all 4 of the points, though, able to get past that last blocker before touching out of bounds.
Yes, basically, points can be scored in midair, if you were wondering. That's why you see those hop, skips, jumps of the coping. They're trying to get hips passed in the air.
Yeah, as long as you haven't touched that skate out of bounds, you are good to go, and that's what you saw there. That is, again, the Beauties getting out. Look at this, hacking away at it.
Yes, so Twin coming around, actively scoring. Olive goes ahead with the stash, still working against Pink. Unsuccessful right there in turn 1, hold to hold Olive back. Twin realizes that, my team is not currently in the lead. We need as much clock time as possible, so goes ahead and calls the jam.
So there we go, another 4 points for the Beauties. Don't look now, the Draggers' lead is into single digits. The Beauties have pulled this within 9. On the jammer line now for the Draggers, that is Strange.
There are some penalties being dropped as well, so they're seeing a little bit of shift around in the blocker box. Looks like 1 penalty being assessed to each team in the previous jam. So we're going to have a 6-pack there, so 3 blockers from each team, and each team fielding a jammer. Strange able to make a nice quick move down and around the Pink defense. Tori working against Pee-wee there in the back. Tori still in. Strange coming around to score.
Look out, Strange
unsuccessful on that coping
tried to
jump.
Jump the coping, but managed to fall properly, which is important. You
Calls
have to
the
know how
jam
to
there.
fall.
Yeah.
I love telling people that I've never taken stage combat, but given the fact that I have the ricketiest legs of most people in the arena tonight, I know how to fall properly when I lose my balance, and that's as important as staying upright sometimes. It's not hurting yourself when you fall. So good tumble there for Strange. 1 second.
They did assess a low block to Strange there. I was also wanted to mention for those out in the crowd, you are not allowed to just leave the field of play whenever you want to without penalty. You must be contacted by an opponent before you do so. So you can't leave if you contact your own player. Must be an opponent. So they did assess a low block somewhere there in the apex, and since that was the only the only penalty on the board, that has to be what they're challenging.
Yeah, I was gonna say so. It ended up being 5 for the Coffin Draggers, at which point who challenged? Well, I don't think it's a points challenge, because are the Draggers asking for a second scoring pass? They got all 5. No, so also the eyes would be down there by now. We'd know. So it is a penalty challenge. That is the one tell, is when they pull the eyes in the sky down, you know it's going to be a scoring challenge. So it is a penalty challenge. We'll find out what and the success thereof momentarily. So game reset. 12:29 second half. Coffin Draggers put 5 on the board. They're now up by 14. This game has been, we'll get to some of our sponsor reads here momentarily during this challenge, but this game has been incredibly similar to the first one. We had the Coffin Draggers jumped out to a big lead, and the Beauties have been hacking back, and then now the Draggers came out, hopefully staunch the bleeding a little bit. But yeah, both of these games have been very close and have come out of halftime really closer.
Yes, I think that both teams have a deep understanding that they don't have a lot of time.
There you go. Excellent. Go for it.
Yes. Okay. So if you put your money in the Switchblade Salon cut, here is your raffle ticket. 586729. 586729. You are the winner of the $75 value Switchblade Salon cut.
You're going to head down, and I always forget to say this until the first 2 people walk up here. If you've won a prize, go from the opposite direction of my voice. You want to go down to the raffle table. We have the ticket, but they have heard us, and they know. So let us know if that was you, by the way. Give us a hoot and holler, because we're going to give this one away again in a couple of jams, if not. So we'll read that number again in a bit.
Yep.
We'll check on it. We'll maybe get a wave from down there. So Let's also mention, too, our prizes left are Raya Riot Tattoo and Lost Dutchman Tattoo. Let's tell you some more about these people. Lost Dutchman Tattoo, they are one of the longest-running sponsors that I personally am aware of the league. They're a tattoo shop specializing in various styles from realism to traditional. You can customize your own tattoo. Like I said, I did. You should come up and it's the most random thing that they tattooed on me, and it's nearly photorealistic. It's incredible. And I just handed them a printed out picture from Facebook. It's great. They're at 4121 North 19th Avenue. That is the northeast corner of the intersection of 19th Avenue and Indian School Road. That's Lost Dutchman Tattoo. That's one of our prizes left at the raffle table. And, by golly, we've got Raya Riot Tattoo. Would you like to bring us Raya Riot?
Absolutely. I will go ahead and read her blurb. Tierney, a.k.a. government name Tierney, is a tattoo artist who had a traditional apprenticeship and education not only in the traditional folkish art form, but also in the education of the craft. Has been a professional tattooer now for about 3 years, 3 or 4 years. She can tell you that when you go get a tattoo from her. Again, looking at we'll call it the minutia, the details. Actually, a craftsperson, builds machines and the needles themselves. Interested in the history of tattooing and the old workers' ways. This connection to the history of tattooing builds a deep respect for tattooing itself. Tierney is a native-born Phoenician and who's been skating for the league for probably 10 or 12 seasons now, whose life has always included creating art, with tattooing being what she has become most passionate about. So if you are interested in receiving art from either of our tattooers, please go see D&D's Nuts at the raffle table.
All right, fantastic. Tierney, you might remember, was doing the flash tattoos at both Chingadera and Roller Rage earlier this year. So,
Yes.
yeah, like I said, a lot of people around here have Raya Riot tattoos. You can check out their work. Now, the challenge was unsuccessful by the Coffin Draggers. That was a jammer penalty. That was a low block on Strange. So the Brutal Beauties have a very well-timed power jam with 12:30 to go in regulation, down by 14.
Slaya able to work those fancy feet right there on the coping in the first straightaway, coming around lead. Draggers frantically trying to get into points protect.
Man, the
Beauty's doing whatever is necessary to make sure that doesn't happen. We got Zora Goda in the back, and therefore the pack is back as well. Twin is going to have to work on these 3 blockers in the front. Sorry, not Twin. Slaya is working on the 3 blockers in the front. Draggers coming around actively recycling to build a 4-wall in the front. Another Goad tried to get by Tori. Murderman's taken to the infield, but she went to the infield too. And in that confusion, Slaya out on another scoring pass.
Scoring pass completed, and of course part of the job of power jam defense is slowing, not necessarily stopping, and they just burned about 30 seconds off the clock, did the Coffin Draggers. Excellent block at the back of the pack. The wall holds up. Stitches absorbs all of that and takes a hard fall. Now
Yeah,
they've
absolutely. Yeah, we're looking for that bend, not break, when you have that
Yes.
defensive structure built anywhere on the track during those power jams. So you're looking for hips and shoulders of the players to come together, create a nice tight seam, and then work your mass against the jammer's velocity.
So they are bringing the score up from the infield. All right, there's going to be another official timeout to talk about some of the goings on there in that jam. The score came up to us. It's a 10-point power jam for the Brutal Beauties. We got a 4-point game with 11 minutes to go in regulation.
Yeah, so if, again, you're new or not aware, we're looking for that momentum shift, that offensive power actually coming into the game. So we're looking for 10 points or more when your opponent effectively is neutralized for an entire 60-second period of time. You want to score 10 or more on those power jams.
Coffin Draggers are actively huddling on the bench over there. So obviously using this official timeout to talk and see what they're going to do. You saw, I was going to mention in that power jam, you could see, I mean, it was, their fingerprints were all over it. The second that jam started, how the Beauties all moved and moved. It was a set play. It was a set piece. And it was really, executed very well to get their jammer out. So anyway, it was a 10-point power jam, 2 full scoring passes. On the jammer line now, that's Black Mamba, number 16, and number 300, Dolly Spartan.
So we're underway with only a 4-point deficit currently for the Beauties. Mamba working against that power couple in the front. A little bit of offensive help up there in Gnarly, working against Mittens and Embezzlement there.
And Dolly.
One to beat in Teeny. Dolly gets lead jam for the Draggers. Mamba still currently being one-on-one blocked by Murder Mittens in the back. A little bit of a bar of soap action there right in the turn 2, coming around, working against Friendlies on the high. Dolly with a clean scoring pass. Now Mamba chasing her down, but Dolly calls the jam.
Dolly outran a blocker to the end of the pack there and was really moving. It was just able to get past that last blocker. It was a bang play.
Trying to get those points, 100%. That's a 5-point scoring pass for Dolly Spartan. Brings the score to 51 Draggers, 42 Brutal Beauties. Olive getting a nice head of steam way back here in the apex of turn 4. Twin a little bit closer to the jammer line. Whiteboard's going up. Abby Arsenic furiously writing with her dry erase marker. And it looks like we're 1 down each.
We got 2 down for the Coffin Draggers. Yeah. We had an above shoulders and an arms. So Abby Arsenic writes really well if I can read the penalty board. Trust me. If I'm quoting penalties, something is unusual. Good job, Abby. That is evil Twin down there into the line.
Let's see. Twin working against that last blocker, Antifa, and is able to get lead. They're trying to make sure that this deficit that they're experiencing right now stays nice and small and manageable. Twin coming around to score. Looks like Olive still working against Max and Razor Cat. Able to get out here in turn 3. One little bump from Tifa and successful. Again, Twin super smart, knowing that her team is not currently in the lead, maintaining as much clock time as possible, calls a jam.
Both crowds have come alive. I'm not sure if you can hear this over our mics on the live stream, but I mean to tell you, whoever gets lead jam, that's half the crowd is just going nuts. This
we lit in
great.
Here. We lit.
Everybody is up on this. The Brutal Beauties put 4 more on the board. They're down by 5. We're going to have 9 minutes to go in regulation. This game is absolutely thrilling.
Yeah, this is the second really good one in a row. I talked to multiple people that skated in the first bout, and they're like, it's over already. I'm like, that's how half games be. All right, we got a little bit of pack adjustment there to take. Oh, we got some communication going back and forth between penalty track to make sure that everyone's on the track that's supposed to be and no one's on the track that's not supposed to be. Right. Jam's about to be underway.
Sour Appletini back up on the track as we get ready to go.
Okay, we got a stash immediately from both jammers. Tori working against Embezzlement, takes a friendly shoulder, takes a low, squeaks out there on the low, coming around, not lead. Stitches coming around, lead with a full head of steam coming around turn 1. Looking for Pink points in the back. Pink trying to get into points protect. A successful scoring pass. Takes a spill right there at the end. Seems to be okay. See what they award.
Rolled over, bounced right back up. As I said, got to know how to fall, kids. That is going to be 4 points for the Draggers, so the lead back to 9. Be about 8 minutes to go in regulation, more like 8:15 when this whistle blows. That is Princess Leia and Dolly Spartan on the jammer line for the 2 teams. Sleia's looking for an opening along the rail, is now going to get worked down along the inside. Tiptoeing, cannot quite stay upright. Dolly is at the front of the pack, gets blocked off. Sleia now with the full head of steam along the inside and is out for the Brutal Beauties.
Yeah, the Red Sea just parted miraculously there for Sleia. Took a little bit of a spill right here in turn 1, and then the coping was open, so she took it. Dolly coming around, not lead, but actively scoring. A little bit of a crunch down. Sleia is recovering here, calls the jam. Wants to, again, remember, make sure Dolly scores no points. A little bit of a pile up here right out of turn 4, but everyone appears to be okay.
Boy,
one more read-through of her ticket for your Switchblade Salon cut. 586-729. 586-729 for the Switchblade Salon cut.
That is right. Yeah, that was a big collision at the end there, and I saw Sleia get her skates knocked out from behind, and that's dangerous going down on your back. But
had to take a few slow blinks there.
Yep. All right, 55-49. It was 3 points for the Beauties there. So lead is 6 for the Draggers. About 7 minutes to go in regulation. Bedbugs Bunny snatches that star right off and along the inside and gets clear.
Mama coming around there. You're going to see a little bit more, we'll call it fast and loose play right in the pack because there are penalties being sat. So there's just not as many bodies in the way. So we want to see a pink wall here to stop Bedbugs Bunny from getting through. They're unsuccessful at getting their point of contact together. Bugs calls the jam.
So back and forth we go. We have alternated scoring passes for 6 straight jams. So the lead keeps bobbing between 4, 10, 9. It's now back to 10 for the Draggers, 59-49. We've got probably about 8 jams left in us here. So buckle in, everybody. 6:30 to go in regulation in this playoff bout.
We are getting down to clock management time for sure.
Yeah.
With a 10-point deficit currently being experienced by the Brutal Beauties. Olive working the low on that friendly shoulder, Sasquatch there. Olive coming around to an open coping in turn 1, coming around lead jam. Max working a little bit of a pile up there in turn 2. Everybody seems to be okay recovering there. Max working against a 2-wall in the front. Tifa and Stitches. Olive coming around, full scoring pass coming around with 33 seconds still to score for the Draggers. Draggers bench is saying get more points, so Olive's going to do that. Want to see a wall now again from Pink.
Max trying to play jammer defense, but Olive's able to get around. Max has the star off. This is what the Draggers were looking for this late in the game. Everybody's making the go-around signal. Max is still at the back of the pack.
For sure. If the Pink jammer is not going to be successful, again, like you mentioned earlier, essentially and effectively a power jam for Draggers currently, as their jammer is the only one out and actively scoring.
So there we are. That's going to be really, really big for the Coffin Draggers. We are going to have a timeout of some fashion, says GG. It's a team timeout. And a team timeout by the Brutal Beauties. So 5-0. Be about 5:02, 5:04. There we are, left in the game. It is. I'm not sure. Let's give that Switchblade Salon one last time, and then we're going to read another one right during this stoppage in play.
5, 8, 6, 7, 2, 9.
Going once. 5, 8, 6, 7, 2, 9. Going once. Going twice. We redraw. Switchblade Salon.
We need the points back up. All right, new ticket for Switchblade Salon, 586830. 586830.
I heard a whistle down there. Is that somebody that won the Switchblade? Yeah?
Did somebody win the haircut?
I hear some down there. We got winners down there. Well, maybe not. Somebody's slapping the track vigorously. All right, there we are. Now we're back up to it. Those 15 points are up on the board.
Someone did walk directly to see D&D's Nuts and Dev over there in the corner, so I'm going to ask for maybe a confirmation and a thumbs up that that's been collected, and we will move on.
All right, official timeout continuing on. As we mentioned, 5:04 to go in regulation. The Coffin Draggers with a very emphatic 15-point jam. However, we're going to roll right into a power jam for the Brutal Beauties. So the Beauties are going to try to get right back into this game, by golly.
This is going to be really, really pivotal. So if you are here cheering for the Brutal Beauties tonight, we should be hearing you during this jam. This is a make-or-break jam for this bout.
Oh, my goodness. Evil Twin tries to go by along the inside and just got eliminated by one of the blockers down there.
Took a hit from Murder Mittens in midair. It was a fantastic time block from Murder Mittens.
That was a game-changing block right there because Evil Twin was on her way out of the pack. What a well-timed hit down along the inside. And I didn't even clearly see who it was, and I can't give him love. It was one of those 3 Coffin Draggers.
It was Murder Mittens. It was Murder Mittens for sure.
It was Murder Mittens. Alrighty. Yes. I was going to say I didn't have a clear look at it, but yeah, absolutely changed the entire complexion of this power jam right there with that block.
Actually really successful. That's probably like the 4th or 5th coping jump that she has personally stopped.
Yes, I would say we do have the star pass ahead. So star pass to Princess Leia to get out. Going to get 1 scoring pass at this, however. And then there we are. All right, looks like we had a winner for Switchblade. Ends up being a 4-point power jam for the Brutal Beauties, but excellent, excellent defense by the Coffin Draggers on that power jam to keep that from being a possible root for the Brutal Beauties to really get close again. Now the Brutal Beauties are down 21 instead, and we're going to have 3:30 to go as
Challenge
this
flag
challenge is
flew in.
called. So the
Stink
Brutal
threw
Beauties
in
are
that
going to
challenge
challenge.
flag?
Yeah, we did see a challenge flag.
Yes, if you just saw a neon yellow flag fly
It just
toward the center of
unfortunately
the
went
track.
directly under the penalty box, and nobody saw it for a second.
Whoops.
So it is going to be a challenge by the Brutal Beauties. So stoppage in play, 74-53. Coffin Draggers trying to close this one out and become the second competitor in tonight's final bout of the evening. 3:34 to go in regulation. Siphon Draw Apothecary Shop is one of our longtime league sponsors as well. They're an all-natural, non-toxic, handcrafted skincare product line made by our very own Dolly de los Muertos and several other members of our league. Many league members work for Siphon Draw Apothecary. They have all sorts of fantastic lip balms. I always say I swear by their Liquid Lizard Lips lip balm. Bruise sticks, all sorts of stuff. That's Siphon Draw Apothecary Shop.
Yeah, if you're out there with lizard lips, get some liquid lizard
That's right.
lizard
and,
lips. Woo.
and visit them at the historic Goldfield Ghost Town off of Highway 88. Yeah, Lizard Lips. Zero Cool's got one.
Zero is also a proponent of the lizard lips up here. I'm currently working with the, I think it's a lavender lip balm that I have currently.
So another one of our raffle prizes that's down there is Tucci's Touch. Tucci also a league sponsor. As we mentioned, Tucci's Touch specializes in deep tissue trigger point therapy and much, much more. They're often at our tournaments offering free 10-minute chair massages. And as we mentioned, there is a near $100 value gift certificate down there for a 60-minute Tucci's Touch massage. As I've said, they service a lot of skaters. I have been in there when I had a walking boot that wasn't doing well, as my current model is wonderful. And nobody knows I'm wearing a walking boot because it's basically invisible. But when I had the gross two-part hospital gray plastic clonky one, like, oh my gosh, they fixed my hips, and it took like a couple of sessions and it was better. So yeah, Tucci's Touch comes highly recommended by not just myself but several people. And we're going to get the rundown on the challenge here momentarily. But yeah, Tucci's Touch, get down there and make yourself, get down there and get into that raffle prize bag. That was a points challenge. We'll find out what it was momentarily. All right, everybody down there nodding heads. Here come the coaches. Ergo, points challenge successful. Brutal Beauties get one more point on the board. So the Brutal Beauties down 20 instead of 21. So if they come back to win by 1 point, wouldn't that be hilarious?
I mean, that's all you really got to do to win this bout. Everyone's like, but what if the other team got too many penalties? Doesn't matter. You have to win by 1 point to win a roller derby bout.
That is right. This is going to be Black Mamba for the Beauties, Strange for the Coffin Draggers. As we mentioned, 3:34 to go. Brutal Beauties need 20 points.
Mamba working against the high rail there. Last one blocker to beat. That blocker unfortunately takes a spill. Mamba coming around lead jam for the Beauties. Beauties really, really need to, with the amount of time that they have left, neutralize as much dragger scoring as possible while also continuing to score themselves. So Mamba coming around, taking a few hard hits there. Neutralized to the infield in turn 3 by Aunt Tifa. Back on the track now, needs to get that 1 point to escape to the front and continue to work one more scoring pass. Pack was split. Pack is coming back together. Everybody back in proximity now. Strange is out on their scoring pass as well. Mamba working against that last blocker. Should maybe think about saving time at this point.
And Mamba
calls the jam. We'll see if it was in time.
Black Mamba calling it off. When you're down there on the track, you can't really hear a lot coming from the outside of the track.
People were giving themselves an aneurysm down here in turn 3. So we'll see.
Unaware as Strange came through along the inside. So
So we end up with a 5-4 jam, and that's what all the hubbub was about. We were screaming for Mama to call it because we, again, remember, we're not playing for the differential. So Beauties did get 1 point there, technically. 5 minus 4 is 1.
All right, we did have a slight adjustment to the score. There's going to be an official timeout as we get ready to clarify everything. Merrill Streak, they had reported up 4, but Streak was pretty sure it was 3, and Rosie said yes, it was 3. So, as you said, a 5-3 jam. Strange blitzing through on the inside to pick up those points. So 77-59. So the Draggers are still in front by 18 instead of 20 now.
Yeah, so just a little bit more rule stuff. Scoring is recorded until the first whistle.
Right.
So, and we're talking about human eyes and human ears here. So as quickly together as those things happen, which those things are, the lead jammer hitting their hips and the first whistle being over, if the opposing jammer is coming through actively passing hips as well, they are still scoring in that split second.
That is right. However, we did have a penalty assessed to Strange. So this is a power jam for the Brutal Beauties, who are currently down by 18 points. Again, another well-timed power jam. Let's see if the Draggers can hold up on the defensive side with 2 minutes to go in regulation.
Pink has decided on a goading strategy. They got Murder Mittens back there. That does leave with their 1 penalty being sat. That leaves no help for Twin in the front. They're working really hard to make sure that Murder Mittens is neutralized because they want the pack to be in the back. The pack is now forward, though. Nova went forward to provide a little bit of offensive strike there for Twin. Remember, with this deficit, they do need to score, actively score in the next minute and 39 seconds to be able to stay in this bout.
23. Star was passed forward to Princess Sleia, I'm sure as everybody by now has heard. So Sleia gets out. There's 15 seconds left in this power jam. Going to try to get around and get points. However, the Draggers are together at the front of the pack, and they can now play keep away.
They're in points protect. Razorcat wants to make sure that they don't all get away. No one has penetrated so far. A little bit of a little bit of a coping jump right here on turn 4. Let's see if she passed anybody or anybody in the air.
We'll find out. There's going to be under a minute to go in regulation. When this next jam starts, it could be our last jam.
And if you're a Coffin Draggers fan, that was a really well-defended power jam. You should be clapping.
That's right. Let's hear it for defense from the Coffin Draggers fans, because that could have once again been absolutely huge for the Beauties. They could have easily taken the lead if they'd surrendered four full scoring passes there. We are going to have 42 seconds left in regulation as the break clock has expired. They are checking around. Late penalty coming down, so 1 blocker down for the Coffin Draggers. Once again, the Brutal Beauties are down by 16 points.
We have a little bit of a tiny pack here. Draggers sitting 2 penalties, Beauties sitting 1. Tori out lead. Bugs being neutralized almost to the infield by Gnarly, but Bugs is successful. So coming around on a chase lap, you want to see Tori get points and call the jam in this scenario. Draggers have gotten into points protect, though, which is exactly where they want to be. They want to be as far away from Tori as possible. Tori comes into the pack, calls the jam while taking a little bit of a contact to the front of her body right there in turn 2. Is able to call the jam with time still in regulation.
Indeed. So the Beauties now, there's going to be a timeout, a team timeout. Has not blown yet, and there we are. So we've got 1 more jam left. The regulation clock had not expired when that jam ended, so there is 1 jam left in regulation before we start thinking about penalty jams.
When you're dealing with the difference between like the jam coming to an end, the time is being kept separately by the game executioner on the track itself.
Indeed.
So even if the clock is expiring up here on our displays, there's a stopwatch.
All right, so we will check on penalties coming in. What do we have down there? What do we see?
Got to see a failure to form and above shoulders. Abby, 1 more time toward us. Directional block and another failure to reform for Pink. So we needed to see that pack come together a little bit more urgently. So when you see those FR penalties, that means people were too far apart and they went ahead and called the jam. Called the bout. No. I also thought that there was a little bit more time in regulation, but the game has been called. So here we go. Draggers are coming around on their victory lap. Congratulations to the Coffin Draggers for being victorious in the second half game.
Coffin Draggers are going to step ahead, and they will face the Valkyries here momentarily. So after we take a little bit of a break.
So if the third bout is anything like the first two, we're in for a little bit of a nail biter. So if you are here to watch either of the teams that have been eliminated, stay around for the second bout. Stay
That's
around
right.
for the third bout, for the
And
final
now
bout.
let's get a big cheer up from the Brutal Beauties fans that came out tonight. The Brutal Beauties right in it, right up till the end, and an absolutely
What a
thrilling bout.
fantastic bout.
They appointed themselves very well, and let's one more time for the Bruties this year. Say it with me, get brutal. All right, let me look at the schedule and find out when the last bout was supposed to start. It was supposed to start at 7:15. We're pretty close to that. So this next bout is going to start at 7:35 according to the original schedule. So let's figure on about 25 minutes. So yes, it'll be about 7:35 for our last bout of the evening.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Be sure to visit our food truck outside once again. That is all cooped up. And we'll be back with you in just a little bit with the Valkyries versus the Draggers for all the marbles.